and welcome back to the Blizzard Arena here, Burbank, California. My name is Kevin, and it is day 3 of the 2018 HGC Finals, and we're having a good time. That's right. Halfway through day 3, it's been amazing so far. I got a little bit choked up during that last interview as we saw Team Liquid take the victory over BTG. Hasuabs, man, that guy has been playing esports for so long, and it is so great to see him finally get on the BlizzCon stage. I cannot wait to see it next week. We got an incredible matchup for you next, though. East versus West. Dignitas, number 1 out of EU, takes on Tempest, number 2 out of Korea. It's going to be amazing. Let's head over to Trixler to get it all started.
Kevin, yes, we have a juicy match coming your way, and one of my favorite things about juicy matches is when there is some history abound on it. Let's go ahead and introduce these guys first. So here on the left from ANZ, I got Skimmy here to help bring the analysis. How are you, Skimmy?
I'm doing really well, man. This is going to be a massive matchup, absolutely the rematch of what we saw mid-season, bro, and I'm just really looking forward to once again seeing how they play in the groups, but also how this can actually make a bit of a difference on those group standings.
And we got Dread there to the left. Dread, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's just with Tempest here is I personally feel like Tempest is normally one of the teams that I go, this is the underdog. My boy Hyde on support, I think he is unrivaled. But when we look at the results so far at this tournament, Miracle has made a absolute statement. And right now, Tempest, I feel like have a lot of question marks. So if anything, I feel like Tempest has a lot to prove here against a Titan like Dig.
Even before we even started and we started getting points associated with teams, Tempest was talking about that. I said, we have so much expectations for ourselves. We know we have fans on the Western side that have expectations for us, and we want to fill those out. And beating Dignitas is one of the ways to say, you know what, we are here to compete. They've already done it. They did it at the MSB last year. But the thing is, after the group stages, we had Dignitas beat them in the 3rd spot in terms of a matchup that happened there, and that's what we saw, of course, Dignitas move on to face off against Genji. So there is some history between these two teams, and it's going to be a pretty darn good one, Skimmy.
I mean, it's going to be a fantastic matchup. I always personally really enjoy looking at, as you mentioned, Hyde. Such a mechanically gifted team, pixel perfect every single time. You're looking at this and going, this is how clean Heroes of the Storm can be played when you have some fantastic players on that roster. They have such an illustrious history. They are drawing from an inspiration back in the day in 2016 for Summer. They're looking to try and really cement this, I suppose, this narrative that Wolf is really starting to get into with the likes of Miracle coming through now, that like, hey, Korea are dominating across not only 1 seed, but now 1s through to 3.
Yeah, and it's not surprising, I think, when looking at Blossom's performance at the Eastern Clash, there has definitely been talent kind of growing within the Korean scene. I think it's just the rate at which we had somebody be able to kind of bump over that Blossom threshold with Miracle coming in. But I still will bring it back to, though, Tempest has been one of those staples that has been dominant throughout the Korean scene, as you talked about being the world champions at the Summer Global Championship. And I just haven't seen the same flavor here from this roster that I kind of expected coming into the LAN circumstance. That being said, they may have the opportunity to kind of ramp up because they are mechanically, I mean, absolutely one of the best here at this tournament.
Yep, they certainly bring the team fight when they need to. There are some moments where we've seen them falter in the past, but their moments of where they have been fantastic is great. But when it comes to defeat, man, there have been so many moments last year, or even at the MSB when Ballistics was able to get the big win them as well. Then, of course, there was the Dignitas fiasco where the 2 faced off there in the 3rd spot. And also, when you look into their HGC season, they haven't had the best track record so far overall. So Tempest, again, is trying to make those big statements, and we want to see that from them, and they need to score those points. Now, let's talk about Dignitas a little bit here. Dignitas, since day 1, we want to be the best. We want to win this tournament. For the first time I've ever heard them say in an interview, we can take this tournament, we can take first place. They said it here at BlizzCon. Is this the team? Are they ready? Can they stomp Tempest today?
I personally think this is going to be a 1-1. I feel like given the fact that both teams get a choice of their map and that they do have these very distinct styles of Tempest going for aggression, going for team fights, going for plays like such, and Dignitas wanting to more or less execute on a macro level, I feel like we are going to see a 1-1. I don't think it's going to be a decisive stomp in any flavor as such. I don't think there's any reason as a Dignitas fan to be concerned by that at all. I just don't think it's going to be this clean 2-0 that gets you a guaranteed spot in that top 2.
Dread, any last second thoughts before we look at standings?
Yeah, I do think that definitely Dig has the tools to be that team as it stands right now. But Tempest, if they can kind of go back to their roots and have that more chaotic, dive-oriented playstyle, which I think is more viable in this meta than it has been in a hot while here. If they have that, I think they have more than enough tools to be able to take on Dig and even maybe make them look a little bit lower on the scale. But again, a lot of it comes down to the execution, specifically on players like Dami.
Well, we have talked about the past, we've talked about the present. Let's go ahead and look at the standings right now as we are halfway through day number 3. Now, the only team right now that has a chance of still making it up in the Group B side of things is Mind Freak. They still have 2 series, and if they can get a 2-0 in both their matchups, one over Leftovers and one on Dignitas, they can move up and take over the 1. But other than that, we're starting to look pretty set in stone in regards to next week. Sure, you want to grab a few more points if you can, but things are only looking up for Mindfreak, and they have a chance there. Now, looking into the schedule, Team at Dignitas and Tempest will be our next matchup. Later on, the Leftovers and Mindfreak will finally be able to show off that matchup. We'll see if Mindfreak will get on the track to trying to get into BlizzCon, which I think is something you would like to see, Skippy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was the same narrative at Mid-Season Brawl, only able to take a series of 1 team, but it's always the case of can we get at least 1 map on the board. Such a tough region to come from, as we are so isolated from any of those other regions. You're looking at the likes of China, even Taiwan, where they have those other fellow Asian countries to scrim against, gives them a distinct advantage compared to us. So it's a tough call. It really is. And obviously, if you have the motivation and the drive, such a player like Arcana, you can come through those ranks of, hey, are you good enough? Hey, no, I actually am.
Speaking of that matchup, Leftovers being in a bit of a weird spot, but they still have to play a series, already knocked out. Do you think they come into that series playing a little off base, Dread?
Knowing their personality, I'd say they come in for the show. We get the Cho'Galls, we get the Murkies, we get the Gazlows. They're here to put on a show. They love to play for fun, and that is the best moment to play for fun. I don't think by any means they'll go, take a step back and not intend to give their best and go into it, but they're ready to just, you know what, boys, we've done our best here. It didn't pay out for us. Now it's time to just get at the show, have a blast, and hopefully find a couple W's.
Yeah, we have wacky compositions that's worked a couple of times. Let's just pull it out on the big stage and see if it works in front of an audience. Certainly we'll let it see that. Just a little bit of a hint. I was talking to DAB yesterday, and he was promising me that we might get some divas. So if we actually get a diva pulled out, I would be incredibly excited to see that. But let's go ahead and focus on this match. Tempest and Dignitas facing off. Let's go ahead and move in with Tempest. We've already talked about them. Is there more to say about this roster at all? Who is your favorite player on this roster, Skippy?
Personally, it has to be Dami, just the flexibility and just his illustrious history. This is a guy that I looked at back in the day when he used to be so well known for his Greymane, his execution, his ability to know when to get in and when to get out. Such a tough hero, obviously, has been really down the ranks of priority right now, but just his ability to always understand what are the concerns that he has to micromanage in his head, understanding the cooldowns, ability to jump in and cause chaos when other players may not have just seen it. So I think, as you mentioned already there, Dread, Dami is that X factor, Hyde is the almost like the caring mother that's like, look, I will play out of my mind. I will give you all the tools. You've just got to do your part of the job now.
He's got all the children of the squad, and he's fostering
a little school bus,
the healthy living environment here for Tempest to be able to thrive. It very much for me, if you were to say, I think it's apparent. I've been a fanboy of this guy, not because of him as a person, which I think his story is great with his brother, but mainly his ability to play the support role for over 3 years now. He has been an outlier. It feels like even when we're looking at legends out of the Korean region like Merryday, this guy stands up to the best of them, and I think is very much part of the reason that they have made it to this tournament, and more importantly, they got a shot against Dig. They got to rely on him.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about Dignitas, their opponents on the opposing side. Snitch obviously coming in and being the team captain. JPL on his last tournament as he will be retiring, but this entire roster is just full of all-stars. And one of them that I always point out is Xaylia. Xaylia coming in here from Hero League has been an absolute blast on this team. I mean, their first offline tournament, he won with the team at Dignitas last year at the Western Clash. This guy is an absolute beast, and one of my favorite things about him is he's been so laser focused. There were times in HEC Europe where they were just completely dominating, and he said, it's been boring, but I have to be focused. I have a major goal at the end of the year that I need to achieve, and finally we get to see that come to fruition.
And it's that due diligence that you actually have to have when you're at that top, and it's quite a tough order. We always discuss how hard it is when you're not really doing as well as you need to, but it's also the exact same in a different manner when you're at the top. If you're not able to find, opponents that you're really learning any lessons from, how do you keep that buffer? How do you keep that, sizable lead against, your competition in your own domestic region, be it EU? Then how do you more noticeably actually start to compete against the likes of Gen G? They try and do a boot camp, they go over there. Many questions raised by us and many other members in the community. Has this helped out Korea, or has this helped out Dignitas?
Speaking of questions, Dread, I'm going to make you out to be the bad guy.
Let's do it.
If there is going to be a weakness on this team, who do you call out for Dignitas? Okay, not even thinking about it. Elaborate, please.
All right, and when it comes to mechanical play, the guy does not stand out. And I'll bring up some of the philosophies that I go into. So when we look at Titan teams, and that rarely seem to be weak, the best thing you can do to figure out why they might struggle at moments is look at their weakest and what stood out the most. And to me, that is hands down when Poik is on characters like the Raynor or Valas or things like, more so the Raynor, where it doesn't have a gap closer or an escape from a situation, but a health pool that is very vulnerable to the dive-oriented meta that can be justified. Currently, I think he sits in a situation to where he can go from 100% to 0 and that sets the team so far back in those situations. That being said, it doesn't happen frequently. This is still an amazing team, but right now, it's him currently that seems to be, if they are on the back foot, Poik is getting caught out.
It just needs to happen one time, and someone needs to capitalize on it, is basically what Dread is saying there. Let's go ahead and start up this entire series here as Battleground number 1 is ready to go. And let's see where exactly we are heading to. It's going to be Cursed Hollow, the pick coming in from Dignitas. And in terms of bans, Sky Temple and Valskaya Foundry. Dread, I'm coming back to you here because I want to skip over skimming. What do you think about this first Battleground?
Going to the Cursed Hollow for Dignitas, it's going to allow them to have a lot of different creativities when it comes to the compositions they want, and I think not being predictable into Tempest is probably a very good approach from them. Also, generally speaking, Tempest and the Korean teams, because Cursed Hollow has a very unique momentum swing, I think that they can catch them on the back foot and maybe not expect this mid-game power spike that Dignitas is looking for.
Skimmy, any thoughts?
I'm trying to remember the result we saw, because we've seen these teams go up against it last time. I remember we had these like crazy shenanigans around those boss calls, where it was going crazy, and like the team fights were working in favor of Tempest. Dignitas were then playing the macro level. And this is a map that I think will still obviously favor Dignitas, but Tempest by no means are out of this one. But I still do feel like it's like a 70-30 split. Sounds pretty high, but I definitely think from the macro standpoint they excel in a far greater advantage.
Well, it's underway here. The first ban coming in for Tempest will be Amethyr. Need to stay away from that. Typically, a lot of our high-tier teams will stay away from the Amethyr. He just allows so much on the Battleground, gives you that late-game macro pressure, but also a lot of double plays where you can have teams play the slow game, and Tempest is going to stay away from that. Dignitas takes away the Genji, and we will not have that on the board.
Something we'll be looking for no matter what. It's got to be the Maiev for both sides of the battlefield here, along with the Hanzo and the boss control that provides. I think it's more realistic to see the Maiev remove when the ban phases come through, as Tempest end up ridding here of the Medivh. We'll see if if Dignitas, wants to be the team to take that off the table.
Just looking at the picks that Wobby has played so far, he's literally only played Blaze and Yrel, and this is a guy that's well known for his Dehaka as well as his Leoric. Dehaka would shine out for me as a fantastic pickup for this map here, but it just seems like Wobby, in my opinion, he has to be the star player of this team. He's just not being pushed into a need where, hey, I need to actually excel into a different department. I can just stick to these trusted heroes. Very hard to gank, very easy to clear with, and very easy to set up kills as a result too. So I want to see a little bit of pressure in that regard to say, look, if we are going to go for Cursed Hollow, we want to try and accent that a little bit more and really push that boundary of having a strong 4-man, and then Wobby can do his own thing.
It's actually interesting that you bring that up. I've asked many teams in the past, but when Yrel was given to Wobby 18 games in a row, I was like, why don't you guys ever ban out the Yrel and try and adjust? And they go, we have too much other stuff to focus on. We can't figure out how to break down Wobby. He's too strong with top laner. The shot calling that he provides for his team has always been stellar as well, and he can react based on what's available for the draft. So you just leave that up and available, and you basically give Wobby what he wants because you can't ban him out.
I mean, it's a fair point. It is a fair point, yeah. I mean, he's a rock in that lane. I mean, if I'm thinking back to the days of when Leoric could double soak those lanes, it's bouncing back and forth, top to mid, and just soaking, and you're like, well, we're killing him, but he's like, well, I'm still soaking far more ahead of you, or we're up a level. Suddenly you're just thinking the game is being said and done from like, 2 minutes into this one. So it's a tough call to make, and you rightfully isolate that with the Medivh and the Abathur bans. They do cause a lot of issues. We've seen Dignitas find great success, especially on this map drive with those two in particular.
Yeah, and it's actually really surprising to see Tempest commit towards the Decker Craner and the 2-3 post Tyrande Diablo. The one-shot capabilities, even onto a Maiev with the Vault, are very, very high in a battleground like Cursed Hollow. This is probably, other than Towers of Doom, one of the best battlegrounds to have that wall stun lock combo come in, and both of them are very vulnerable to that playstyle. So I automatically thought, well, how are you going to make up for that in macro? But I want to bring to light the kind of curious Anubarak ban in the second ban from Team Dignitas. Removes a lot of that off-lane side 1-1-3 off-lane pressure that you can get on Cursed Hollow, and I don't think it's the only reason maybe for the ban itself, but I think it changes the approach here from Tempest, and I feel like Dig is very much winning this draft so far.
And they have enjoyed the 1-1-3 in the past. They've played a lot of Sergeant Hammer on this battleground in the past, where they'll put the Diablo, Toronto together, make sure to try to go for some one-shots, but also for the pure protection to allow Sergeant Hammer to break down turrets. They usually focus on a boss lane, and if the opponents don't deal with the tributes, then they will get pretty darn aggressive in pushing that lane in. For now, though, we get a Blaze and a Zeratul mixing the rotation.
Yeah, I like this. So you already discussed the first two picks. Fantastic for those pick potentials, fantastic for the kills. Great for the ability to also sneak out bosses. If you want to go for the Shadow Stall, you can utilize that with the Zeratul, have a gang squad, pick up the ability to run at your opponent, which you can imagine Tempest here will be looking to pick up bosses of their own. They're going to want to be aggressive. They can flip that on its head. The Zeratul was great at roaming, acting like the Genji that was banned away and scanning out that information.
And I want to bring to light that I think that Zeratul, even though it fits great within the composition for Dignitas, it was a huge power play, and the fact that it was a half deny, I think, as well. By being able to go with the Zeratul, when I was talking about that all-in capabilities and some of the slow play, one of the best ways to stop that in the current meta is a Void Prison. The 5-second pause button, buy yourself some breathing room, and then you get a reinitiation. Zeratul caters to diving compositions, but also is good at denying them. So picking this while you have that opportunity for Dignitas is great, and again, really kind of thwarts some options for Tempest.
And I like the final pickup of the Sergeant Hammer coming in. Now Zeratul, who naturally wants to have a safe early game, he wants to flow between the lanes, so he can now do that, as Sergeant Hammer is going to demand your attention with a 3-man in a lane, particularly probably going to be that bottom lane where the boss is going to be at. So I like the draft here for Dignitas, but Tempest bringing out an ETC, which so far has had a hard time in this tournament, Skimmy.
Really has. It's definitely fallen down the pecking order of command, and there's far more tanks that you want to choose as a result. As you mentioned already, Nubrak being a fan favorite, especially for the Korean region, for the aggression, for the dive, which would have accented what Tempest have got so far so well. The containment disc with the cocoon would have been a disaster, would have been very, very scary. So the ETC, yeah, quite squishy. If they can jump on it with the combo just from, Tyrande and Diablo alone, like, ETC dies.
Any last quips there, Dread?
I think the Sergeant Hammer provides a lot level 1 through 9, even beyond that for Dignitas. There is always the concern of a lot of this is all in, but the Hammer's going to be sitting back. I don't think it'll be that big of a problem, again, enabled by the Zeratul in that situation, but that's my only concern on the side of Dig, and you raise the point when it comes to the draft of Tempest. I think that they have to kind of justify the ETC route here for Sign.
All right, well, it's time to get this started here. Over to our casters who will be bringing you all the action.
And we're pretty hyped for this first game. It's going to be a great series. I mean, Tempest going up against Dignitas. Zeratul in, the ETC on the front. What do you think about the choice?
I actually kind of feel like Dignitas got the better draft here. It's going to be tough for ETC to really break through and hit the hammer in most cases. Dignitas is playing a very passive playstyle here. And I don't know, the Maiev early, I think, has kind of been shut down and countered by Dignitas in the long term in their draft. They kind of eventually slowly form this passive draft. It's going to give them experience leads with Hammer. They have finishing power with Snitch on the Zeratul after that Hammer damage comes through.
And we're seeing that on the left now with Diablo played by JPL, Wooby on Blaze, Poik on Sergeant Hammer. And of course, we're seeing Snitch now with that Zeratul. We could even see that Void Prison into Apocalypse, Zalia on the Tyrande. Team Dignitas going up against Tempest, starting off to the right.
That's right. Good on Raynor. Lockdown playing the Maiev. Dami will be on Yrel. We will see Sign on ETC. And last but not least, of course, the support player Hyde on Deckard Cain.
ETC is always one of those volatile frontline tanks that can have a huge impact, but oftentimes struggles by being sniped by the opponent's team. Now, Yrel offsets that a little bit with the armor that she provides that makes him a bit more tanky in these situations, but Sign definitely has to be on point with this.
Yeah.
Then again, he has proven in the past how strong he can be on that hero, so if Dignitas doesn't really pay attention, Sign is going to create those kill opportunities for Tempest.
And every time you mess up a ETC slide, for example, you're always going to be at risk of being killed by Diablo, the Tyrande follow-up stun that's there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of risk involved in that.
And I would say especially Tyrande on the other side, if played well by Zalia, that double cleanse that you have with the Celestial Attunement on level 1 can really help out once that ETC tries to make these plays.
Certainly true. Bit of a late rotation up here for Tempest to deal with Poik's pressure, so he gets about 2/3 of a cannon tower here, so a nice experience lead here about to be formed for Dignitas, especially once that is completed. And this is very Korean, what we're seeing here. Sergeant Hammer, pushing carefully. We see this a lot from Gen G. And Tempest has a lot of experience with this, but we're going to see this rotation completely shut down. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You see the grab there, then the Lunar Flare. Shine just can't even get anywhere near Poik.
Yeah, very well played here by JPL, immediately identifying the threat and also hitting the ETC down to half HP. The follow of Zalia was there immediately, exactly how to have to stack that up. Later on, of course, they're going to try and capitalize with even more damage on it to get those first few kills. But personally, I'm already happy seeing Cursed Hollow being played. I think it's a great map. I love this map. There's so many options that you have, and I can't wait to see which team is pulling ahead here.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra vision that Dignitas can get with a safer rotating tank, the Diablo. They have the the Sentinel coming out from Tyrande, the Owls to gain that vision, as well as Zeratul, who can roam around cloaked and give a lot of additional information. So I feel like in terms of gaining that info and controlling the map, as you can see here, a Sentinel used to confirm exactly where Tempest is on the map. Dignitas has a lot more freedom to make difficult decisions. Do we take boss? Do we rotate towards the tribute because of that arrow?
From a European perspective, this match is also highly important, because if Tempest walks away with a 2-0 victory here, here and takes the #1 spot in the group, that would automatically mean that the match between Dignitas and Team Liquid in the next round of the tournament at BlizzCon would be incredibly likely. And having the two European teams going up against each other in the first round is really something that as a European viewer you would of course love to avoid.
Yeah, certainly true. Gonna see a heavy push here. Faster camp taken by Tempest, which was scouted earlier. Dignitas responds so well though. Fast rotation in here. And now they have the advantage in terms of that camp pushing mid. If you take it later and respond quickly, you always get that edge. So that extra vision from the Owl actually comes big into play here.
One of the things that Dignitas was very good at throughout the tournament so far was really avoiding the opponent's kill composition and their heavy engage. They showed that several times against compositions of Heroes Heart Esports where they were really trying to get those early kills. Can they do it against Tempest though? Here comes the engage, good stun against Reina here, but Zelia's in the corner and he might fall, and indeed he does as Tempest gets the first kill.
The triple power slide here is going to make it difficult for Dignitas to get away. Dami with a big stun here. JPL body blocked out, gets knocked by the penetration round, and that is going to be a double here on the side of Tempest. They didn't see Sign rotating around. We talked so much about how they have vision control. They stepped over the line. They missed Sign's rotation, and that caused a big tribute fight here.
Definitely not the start that Dignitas was hoping for, and now we're seeing another kill coming in as Tempest chases down Zeratul and gets the third kill in the game. Great wraparound by Sign, creating that opportunity. Zelia got caught in a corner, had absolutely no way of moving out with Tyrande here, and Tempest starts picking up kills. Incredibly well played here in the early game on First Hollow, and Dignitas immediately on the back foot.
Yeah, I mean, Tempest was, or Dread was pointing this out on the desk, but Tempest is so good at these skirmishes. You could see the pings even. The pings where Sign had 2 I'm on the way pings sent, and then you saw immediately the scroll of ceiling coming out, which caused Dignitas to move back, and that's when they got caught there by Sign. Really nice coordination. As you can see, Crowan looks on. Will affect his standings as well in the group.
I mean, right now, Dignitas has to be extremely careful because Tempest is going to build up that momentum. And I have to admit, I was actually a bit shocked at how free it was for Sign to just walk around and move into that position. And now Dignitas needs to be cautious when they come to the next team fight. On a positive note, they are not too far behind experience. The 3 deaths have definitely hurt, but they have at least to an extent recovered. Tempest has taken the lead in tributes, they have taken the lead in experience, but it's not an unredeemable position just yet.
Oh, certainly true. It's just one of those moments where this could snowball this map. We don't see this map picked a lot in Korea. A lot of Koreans feel it's very snowbally, that it can be very difficult to come back. Once you hit that curse, you hit that 10, you get the boss, that's when it becomes, that's when you start to worry about Dignitas. Right now you're not too worried yet. There's certainly a lot of comeback potential, but in a moment, that's when the European fans will get worried. Poik caught by a root here.
Already going for the siege tactics as Sign is threatening the power slide. Dignitas has let another tribute go and instead just went for the wall at the bot lane, trying to just open up the map and making sure that they're spreading the entire game. Again, JBL moving in, but the flip not perfect with the follow-up on Zelia not hitting, and therefore Tempest able to walk away.
That was actually a very close call though. Had the flip been a little bit better, I think that absolutely would have been a pick there. Nice hide there in the brush from JPL, and a quick rotation down from Snitch as well. It was a really good game plan, but unfortunately they fail right before 10. This was their biggest opportunity to get a kill before 10. Now it's 10 plus Curse Tribute here. And, you know, they're going to have to make a tough decision. Do they give up Curse? I think they might have to.
Yeah. I mean, it is really early on. You have a few interrupt tools that you can use that will delay it even further. We're talking a lot about Tyrande in that case, of course, with her level 4 and also the Owl, so you can play around it a bit. If that doesn't happen, if Dignitas just says, guys, we are so late to the tribute, just let it go, split out on the maps. We have camps already taken. They could just try and make sure that they don't suffer too much from this curse and then play from there.
We do see the rotation actually down here from Moby right now, and the arrow came in to try to interrupt, but they just couldn't hold it longer. Only Snitch hits him once, and they get 10, but it's just a little bit too late, unfortunately. So the ideas were there. It feels so bad to lose a tribute on your side of the map as well in this moment.
But I feel with the position that they took on the map, they already were thinking about letting it go. They realized that moving into it, trying to force it, would allow Tempest with a superior position to force the fight on their terms. They tried to avoid that and just accepted that an early curse might not give Tempest enough to establish a huge lead. Now, it's a big question, how much is Tempest going to get from this? How many structures can they take down, and how far ahead will they be once the curse is finished?
I mean, it looks like they're just going to split into 3 lanes. They're not actually going to look for one lane in particular, but rather just try to use this to gain a massive experience lead so they don't allow Dignitas to catch up in that regard. It's not just about the structure, it's about how many minions you kill in this phase. Raynor could push down the bot very quickly. Now he's headed mid. This fort is obviously deactivated. And in the top lane, it's just neutral.
But Dignitas avoids fights for now. They're not allowing Tempest to dive in too deep, but of course the Korean team now with a fort destroyed at the bot lane, they are also getting the one here in the middle, and that means they are a bit more than a level ahead. But it was a very smart choice by Tempest to split onto the lanes, because oftentimes what you see happen is the team that curses the opponent loses out on lane experience but regains it in structures, and that can sometimes in the long run come back to bite you.
Oh, you're certainly right about that. They're going to go for a boss here, and Dignitas, I don't believe the Sentinel scouted this. It went through the Bruiser camp. Instead, they're going to send another one, which will actually be blocked again. They've just twice now signed as blocked Sentinels from getting vision. Super sick to see that. That's very high-level play there. If you go back and watch it, you'll see on the minimap. Anyways, they don't know for sure, so they actually can't match the boss. Now they have to deal with this boss, which leaves their boss open. So a very tough moment here for Dignitas.
I really like that play by Assign. That was actually so heads up. He is in between the lanes and is waiting in the bush. He knows that Owl is coming eventually. And of course he wants to be in that spot in the first place, just so they can slow down any rotation from Dignitas that is trying to intercept the boss. But then he sees the Owl coming, and he's immediately saying, I don't even have to stop you, I can stop vision right now, and then you can still make the decision, do you want to come in? But I'll have all the time in the world to push you back with a face melt, slide out if I have to. So Tempest gets an easy boss, they get the fort at the top lane, and Dignitas, they're just sitting back and taking the beating for now.
Yeah.
Because they know they have to wait until they at least have even talents.
Exactly. Had the Sentinel seen the boss, they could have matched the boss and then had time to clear and force a reaction out of Tempest. That'd probably buy him enough time to get 13 freely, but as it stands, this is just further damage to the keep wall, and it gives Tempest the advantage that they know 3 people are in the top lane defending this, so they can take other objectives on the map. They're even starting to posture around blue side boss right now. The tribute will be top right, so they'll have to move back, but so many opportunities when you have this boss advantage.
Now what Dignitas on the other hand bought for themselves is a lot of time here in the mid game. The curse has of course reset the tribute count, so Dignitas can let 1 or 2 go quite easily if they don't feel that they can achieve a good position around the tribute. And they are only 1 level behind. That is still manageable. You're still thinking about, okay, when do we want to fight? Do we want to fight around 13? Do we want to fight around 16 talents? And Dignitas makes the decision to start moving in. Let's not forget, their own composition becomes a lot stronger as the game progresses, especially with Zeratul 16. And Dignitas is now finally ready to take the fight again, and they will have to right here.
It's right in the choke point, though. Bunker does get planted. BFG getting massive value. That's the first kill here.
Great kill coming here from Sergeant Hammer as Dignitas pushes Tempest back, looking for their second kill. They go for Decade Kane. The Lornado is out, but Hyde is still in a bit of trouble as Snitch is moving back again with
JPL needs to be careful, though. He needs to be careful. That's a lot of damage coming out from Raynor. He is alone, signed with the big power slide here. JPL is going to be forced back. There's the defensive stun used, but here comes Snitch with the damage.
Dami hopping away and actually escaping. Really impressive retreat by Tempest. Not only saving Deckard Cain, but all of a sudden creating a potential kill opportunity against Diablo. Dignitas then re-engaging into that 5 versus 4, but not able to pick up a second kill. They get 1 kill, they get the tribute, but they hoped for so much more here.
They certainly did, but I respect their patience. Snitch was so close to actually wiping that whole squad, and he just decided it's not worth the risk. If I die here, maybe then we end up losing JPL as well.
I mean, with 16 here on Zeratul, if that fight had been a little bit later in the game, that choke point situation would have been perfect for them, especially after that BFG kill. But once again, they're finding a target, and this time Dami is in a lot of trouble. He's immediately being attacked here. We have the Lornado coming through, and already the containment disc is in play as Snitch is looking for the kill. The BFG comes through. Dami survives at least for now, but Tempest is low.
Oh no, this is not looking good. Once the bunker expires here, Dignitas may be in trouble. They do get the initial kill here. Wubby helping them for the disengage, goes back in with the jet propulsion. Lockdown's low. JPL gets on him, and this is a very much one-sided fight for Dignitas.
3 down on Tempest side as Dignitas all of a sudden picks up the second tribute in a row and is also closing the distance and experience. Fantastic performance here. Once again, early on in the fight already. We see Urel in trouble, extremely low. Dignitas able to pick up the kills after the bunker also expires. And now we have, again, a more or less dead even game here with Dignitas having a lot of additional experience available in structure.
That's right.
The one advantage that Tempest had, taking those forts down. But once Dignitas starts to remove Tempest forts, they should take a huge lead in experience.
Absolutely true, and this boss is going to make that first fort very easy in the bottom lane, and it's going to be extra pressure just before first tribute. So they could actually open this game wide open, get those 3 forts, get 21st at this point. I'd even go as far as to say I think Dignitas is slightly ahead at this point, and the stage dive pick here for Sign has just not really given value. There were so many fights and choke points where a potential mosh put could have actually changed everything, but he decided to go for the semi-global here. Hasn't been able to use it, hasn't been able to split soak. I think he wishes he made the other choice at this point. This fight is critical. If Tempest loses this tribute, they may lose the game because of it.
Tempest is 16, Dignitas doesn't. No Void Slash just yet, but here comes the 16 talent. Snitch drops it immediately. If he can get a few recent here, cooldown reduction would be fantastic for him, but Good is putting pressure onto Zeratul here, and Snitch is on the run.
Looks like this is not going to be the fight that Dignitas wanted, but at the same time, the boss is getting that extra pressure done in the bottom lane, so that's going to work on the keep wall. Even if they don't get this tribute, if they buy time, it's
Snitch.
big value.
Snitch looking for the engage again, goes in with a slash, gets the cooldown reduction there. The power slide against JPL though. Diablo is in trouble.
He's
Stage dive and he's down.
Okay, the BFG getting a lot of damage done here, but I don't know if it's going to save Bobby. He's trying to retreat here. Snitch goes in, does some decent damage. He might be on the chase now. Everyone's low.
And
he's mounted.
The boss is still at the bot lane. That is going to get even more value. At this point, it will also start to attack the keep pretty soon here, but of course the wave behind it is even more so important when it comes to the damage output. And Tempest, they're not reacting. They're still
going for the
tribute. They don't want to get cursed here.
Okay, Banshee's back out here again for good. JPL in the front here, buying so much time for everyone to get into position. Snitch threatening the backline, but JPL, he's the first to go down, and this is a disaster now for Dignitas.
Second kill against them. The keep at the bot lane is about to fall, but Dignitas can walk away from this fight. It would only be the first tribute for Tempest. The Korean team still in the lead in experience by a small margin, but the bottom keep is falling. Dignitas now with an advantage.
They have to get this. Macro. They have to get this keep to equalize the pressure. They're up a man right now for 18 more seconds. A lot of members getting low here.
The bunker's on the ground already. Snitch is looking for those cleaves. Here comes the containment disc. Once again, Snitch moves in, Cleaves tries to get out, needs to be careful here. But already Dami again low. The Void Prison comes through. Snitch is looking for the kill.
Sign needs a big power slide here, and he's not going to get it. He does actually on the Snitch. Snitch does barely get away. Dami caught by the Luna Flare. Zalia takes him out.
Snitch with the plays and the damage, and then Zalia with the last hit. Sign being attacked now as well. Already one kill in the hands of Dignitas, and the second one comes in too. Not only do they defend the keep in the mid lane, but they get a double kill too.
They can get now Curse plus Boss. This is almost certainly game over. That was the game-winning fight for Dignitas, barring a miracle defense here for Tempest. They've got 2 members down, 30 seconds to go before the main tank emerges. This boss will be cleared very quickly. It has to go through the fort, but that's only going to be a tiny buffer here.
And not only that, it's going to be Boss and Curse. They have the tribute spawning right next to it. This is perfect for Dignitas. It couldn't be any better. You have to be careful because of your heroic cooldowns.
It's going to lead to 20 as well.
Yeah, the one thing is really the cooldowns on the side of Dignitas for the heroics. They need to be cautious. They have no Void Prism right now. They don't have the tools that they use in these team fights, so they have to be a little bit careful how they engage at this point. But they are taking the lead in experience. They have the curse. Mid lane is going to get pressured, and Dignitas is very heavily focused now on the top
They
keep.
have a massive wave with this as well. It's not just the boss. I mean, it's the minions here as well. They're going to be a big issue. We do see Maiev returning here. Lockdown's ready to engage. They have to be very careful of Snitch harassing the backline, getting that cooldown reduction you mentioned. This keep is certainly going to go down. What else they get, though, depends on how many kills. If they can get 2 picks, this is GG. Dignitas looking for an opening.
And they find it. They go straight in. They try to get the stun. The Void Slash also comes through. Snitch is slashing away here. BFG, the Void Prison in the backline. Once again, a Snitch is looking for the kill. The keep is about to fall, but they want more. They want lockdown. Zalia comes in, but the counter engage against Zeratul.
Snitch is so low here, but he actually wants to go in. He wants to get these kills here. Containment disc is up. That's going to be the kill there onto Good. That's the majority of Tempest damage. Big power slide here. Sign wishes he had the mosh, but he doesn't.
And that's Maiev. Maiev is down, and now they focus on Dami. Dami popping the ult right there, survives for a little bit longer, but Deckard is not so lucky. He goes down, the boss already on the core as ETC is being attacked, and he's not the only one. It's a complete disaster as Tempest falls apart, and Team Dignitas goes for the core to secure victory in game number 1 on Cursed Hollow against Team Tempest.
Snitch putting on a clinic as to how to play this Zeratul, get in the backline, get that cooldown reduction. So much damage done, so many risks taken, but it all paid off, and Dignitas is 1 game away now from getting revenge from the group stage at mid-season brawl where Tempest defeated them there. But what a convincing game in terms of macro rotations and understanding how their comp scales towards late game.
Great performance here, especially by Snitch, the entire team with a great and cohesive play here. But Zeratul moving in with these Void Slashes over and over and again, barely dodging out on the stuns and holding that Void Prism for so long, waiting until he finally had an opportunity to get someone low, dropping the VP, making sure that everyone's on the same page, and then collapsing onto the target, blowing it apart and starting to chase the rest of the team. Very nice turnaround from Team Dignitas after an initial strong showing in the early game from Tempest.
Well, we are going to go ahead and throw it over to our panel to see what they thought about game number 1.
A fun start to that series, that is for sure. Dignitas able to get the win, but it didn't come so easily at first. Tempest showing a lot of teeth at the very beginning of that game.
I mean, they really were. They were going absolutely ham about it. They were getting kills. They were getting aggressive. They were denying. They were mechanically, as I anticipated, outplaying Dignitas for the most part. But there was that one defining moment for me personally where the boss was picked up in the bottom lane. Wolf, I believe, actually mentioned it during the cast where they, despite being down 15-16, they were going to create that macro pressure. They did that little dance for the curse, or for the tribute, sorry, in that bottom section of the map. They were just grabbing it, grabbing it, grabbing it. This entire dance then forced that boss to go all the way uncontested, get that keep. And from then on, you know, it was a case of like, well, if we don't win this next fight, we've always got this win condition in the back of our minds. So I feel like from a macro sense, this was Dignitas' map, this was their play style, and this has got a confidence boost going into game number 2.
The macro play was great from both teams, but let's talk about the team fights a little bit. Dread, if you have a particular team fight that you want to look at, right?
Yeah, and that's got to be Snitch, man. He was an absolute monster on his Zeratul. So we're going to bring it back to a moment here where they are actually down a member here. JPL just got killed for the 2nd time, and I want you to keep your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, here on Snitch the whole time. He's going to be dancing in and out throughout the entirety here of it, but he is the reason they are able to recover in this very tense moment. At first, we see the team coming in for a combo. Snitch is just trying to get that damage output, but once we see the attempted retreat after this bunker, you're going to see Snitch slowly be able to move up there. There's Rending Cleave 1. He's going to get the follow-up on his Wormhole. Now he's going to Vorpal the Dami, and then bam, hit you with the Void Prison. Now there's a huge play in the fact that Sign interrupts Wubby's Jet Propulsion. That is a 3-man definite kill right there, but still, Snitch sets up the team for the BFG to come through, and again, this is down a member in this middle keep, and it's all there because of Snitch, and he was doing this pretty much from minute 1 here of this game.
The strength of a late game Zeratul, and you playing around a Vorpal Blade. Snitch will finally clean up a Sign there too, and that actually opened them up to move to grab that boss in the top right, grab the tribute, and of course, history wrote itself from there. But still, a match that shows that Tempest and Dignitas, if you give them a best-of-5 series, they are going to deliver. That was a solid game 1. Going into game 2, what do you want to see from Tempest to change it up, maybe get a win here so we have a tie 1-1?
I want to see a more teamfight-oriented map, a smaller map. I'm thinking Infernal Shrines, possibly even Dragon Shrine, quite honestly. I'd like to see them go there, even though these are maps that Dignitas are still quite comfortable on.
Sure.
It's a smaller scale. It's allowing them to almost choke out the map, if you will. Quicker rotations, quicker ability to get those kills. They were finding some fantastic fights, but just the ability to spread out and jump in, jump out, as you already pointed out there with Snitch, I think really hurt them in the long run there.
Well, we are enjoying this series, and we hope you at home are enjoying it too. And part of the reason why we're able to actually watch these series is because of our sponsors. Let's check in with them.